Hello everybody and welcome back to Roll Anish. Previously we had a video called Intro to Cleric and Knowledge Domain. And in this video we're going to continue the discussion on the Divine Domain options that you get at first level by talking about the Light Domain and the Life Domain. So in your player's handbook, if you're looking at the Cleric session, and I have my digital version of the player's handbook pulled up right here, we talked about Knowledge Domain, and that is first. We already did that one. So we're going to pick up where we left off by talking about the Life Domain. And this kind of Cleric is going to focus on vibrant, positive energy, right? The fundamental forces of the universe that sustains all life. You're very much into what gives beings and creatures life. There are going to be gods that will make sense for this domain that are from like Egyptian and Greek pantheon, or even D&D's pantheon like Lathander, Pelor. Those are gods that are, sun gods, right? Gods of healing and endurance such as Ilmater, Apollo, gods like that are going to be part of the Life Domain. And then there are plenty more. And if you want to find out and take a look at the different pantheons of gods, it is in the back of your player's handbook. There is a section on deities, and they give you tables and like Greek mythology, Roman, I think is in there. Egyptian mythology, they're all in there, including D&D specific stuff from like Eberron, Greyhawk setting, or the Forgotten Realms settings. So just take a look at those, because they do recommend alignments to play and gods to choose for certain domains. So there's recommendations in there if you're not familiar, and you can read up on some of these deities and what they're all about, so you can make your choice wisely. But when you choose the Life Domain, you get access to certain spells just by choosing this subclass, this Divine Domain. And in the Life Domain, you're going to get things that are going to be a lot of spiritual environmental stuff and healing stuff. For example, at first level, you get access to Bless and Cure Wounds. Cure Wounds is the ability to touch somebody and give them healing. Typically, you're going to roll a d8. That's the diamond-shaped one. Add your spellcasting modifier, and that's how much you can heal someone. Unless you upcast that spell. For every spell higher than second and higher, you're going to add an additional d8. So if it's a second level version of the spell, it's 2d8 plus your modifier. If it's a third level version of the Cure Wound spell, it's 3d8. So you can upcast this spell accordingly. Bless is a good one. It requires your concentration for a minute. You could choose up to 3 targets of your choice within your range, which is about 30 feet. And you can bless them. What that means is on any attack roll or saving throw before your spell ends, that blessed creature can add a d4 to their roll. So, for an example, this is a d4, the pyramid looking one. If I were to roll an attack roll and I roll a 12 and I'm blessed, I'm going to roll my d4. That's a 3. 12 and 3 is 15. I add them together. And that's my roll to hit. And hopefully that meets or beats my enemy's armor class. And sometimes that bless does tip the scale and make a miss into a hit. So it's definitely a great buffer spell. At third level, you get access to Lesser Restoration, which you could cast it on someone. You touch a creature and you can end a disease or a condition on them. And those conditions are blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned. So if they're blind, deaf, paralyzed, or poisoned as a result of some other effect, maybe a breath weapon, maybe a magical spell, you can touch them, cast Lesser Restoration, and remove that condition, and that's all that does. It doesn't heal them, but it removes the disease or condition listed that they are suffering from. Spiritual weapon is something you can conjure. So it's conjuring a spectral or ghost-like axe or sword. You pick the weapon. And it appears in a spot that you choose within 60 feet of you. the spiritual weapon goes, it has its own turn. You can move it up to 20 feet a turn, and it can attack once. So it has its own attack and everything, and it deals force damage, which is great because force damage, I believe, is one of, if not the least resisted or immune type of element in the game. So you're going to find a bunch of creatures are immune or resistant to fire or poison or acid. Force is one of the lesser resisted ones. So this is a great way to... It's a great way to deal damage with a high rate of success because the lower amount of creatures are resistant to force. So that's a good thing. And it's a bonus action spell. So remember, because Spiritual Weapon is a bonus action spell and it's a second level spell, if you cast Spiritual Weapon as your bonus action, the only other thing that you can really do on your action is either a melee attack or a cantrip. And that is according to your player's handbook. So you could do 2 spells at once, but if your bonus action casting a leveled spell, which Spiritual Weapon is a second level spell, your action can only be a cantrip or a melee attack. Okay? That's how spell casting works. And that is a good one because it's like having an extra person in your party because it has hit points. It has its own attack. It's great. 5th level, you get access to Beacon of Hope. You can target any number of creatures within range, and during the duration, they get advantage on wisdom saving throws and death saving throws. That requires your concentration for a minute. So if your party has taken heavy damage in a combat and somebody's like, I'm not doing so well, you might want to use your action on your turn to cast Beacon of Hope, because if they go down, they will have advantage on their death saving throws. And as a reminder, a death saving throw, when you reach 0 hit points, you are knocked unconscious and you begin the process of dying. On your turn, you're going to roll a d20, and on a 10 or higher, you get 1 success. On a 9 and lower, you get 1 failure. Okay? The first to 3 wins. If you get 3 fails before you get 3 successes, you die. If you get 3 successes before you get 3 fails, you are stable. Still unconscious, still at 0 hit points, but you're not dying anymore. When making death saving throws, if you roll a natural 20, yay, you wake up with 1 hit point. If you roll a natural 1, instead of getting 1 fail, you get 2. So please don't roll 1s. Having Beacon of Hope for maybe you got that one person on your party, everybody's got one who just doesn't roll well, and they're about to do death saves. They're like, I'm hurting real bad. If I get hit one more time, I'm going down. Beacon of Hope, okay? Because if they do go down, you can at least have them roll with advantage on those death saves. Just a little point, just a little tip there from me to you. Revivify. You revive a creature to 1 hit point that has been dead recently, within the last minute. So if your creature, somebody does die, you can still bring them back. Death is usually not the end for your character or a character in this game. And this is one of the reasons why. Casting Revivify brings them from death to 1 hit point. So having failed their death saving throws, they are dead. You can cast this spell. It's a 3rd level spell. You get it at 5th level. It'll always be prepared for you, so you don't have to, it doesn't count towards the pool of the ones you have to prepare yourself and count. But it's a good one. 7th level, you get Death Ward. Death Ward's a cool spell because, you don't have to... The way I use Death Ward in my game as the DM is I tell clerics, if you're going to cast Death Ward, tell me I am casting Death Ward. Just for the sake of me knowing the action economy. Do not tell me who. I don't want to know who. That's metagaming, right? I shouldn't know who. And you and the player you've worked that out with should know it amongst yourselves. So talk before the game. Have them text each other. But don't tell your DM who. Work it out with who it was to keep the game honest, right? But I would just be like, I would like to cast Death Ward on someone. They are within my range. And they're near me, so I'm going to do that. Just don't tell me who, right? I'll be like, great. because I want to attack who I want to attack. I don't want to see, well, I'm not going to attack them. They've got Death Ward. I'm going to go for somebody else. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give myself the option. So that's how I do that one. Guardian of Faith is a really cool spell because it basically conjures up a large spectral armored spirit that smacks anything in its reach. So anything within 10 feet of the Guardian must make a dexterity saving throw. Otherwise, the Guardian of Faith is going to hit them for 20 damage on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. The Guardian vanishes when it has dealt 60 damage. Okay? So if you conjure this thing and if you've got a bunch of enemies kind of congregated, but there's space between them, boom, drop one right there. Because if they're within 10 feet, he's going to saving throw, and smack, right? As soon as he's dealt 60 damage, it disappears. But hey, 60 damage is a lot, especially in combat. So having an extra party member would be great. And it can stick around for like 8 hours, which is cool. At 9th level, you get access... Whoops, I clicked it. At 9th level, you get access to Mass Cure Wounds and Raise Dead. So Mass Cure Wounds. So Cure Wounds is a spell. You go up to somebody and you touch them and you get a D8 plus your Wisdom modifier. Boom. That's how much they heal. Mass Cure Wounds is like a wave that radiates out from you. You choose up to 6 creatures in a 30-foot radius, basically, centered on a point that you choose. So, if you're scattered, you can point to it. You can find the point and be like, from this point, anyone within, 60 feet, a 30-foot radius from this point, it could be up to 60 feet away from you, Cleric. You could say, all the way over there, that's the point, and get all those people in that 30 feet from over there. All of them are going to heal. What you roll is going to be 3d8 plus your spell casting modifier. Whatever that is, all 6 of them, up to 6 of them that you can choose, they all heal the same amount. So if you roll 20, you get 20, you get 20, you get 20, you all get 20, Oprah style, right? That's Mass Cure Wounds. And then Raise Dead is what it sounds like. You find a dead creature that has been dead for no longer than 10 days. The creature's soul is both willing and at liberty to rejoin its body, and you bring it to life with 1 hit point. Basically, neutralizes any disease or poison that was on the creature when it died. It closes all mortal wounds, but it does not restore body parts. So if it's missing body parts, it still will. And coming back from the dead via this spell is an ordeal. It takes a -4 penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks. And every time the target finishes a long rest, that penalty is going to get reduced by 1 until it disappears. So basically 4 days, right? Long rest. Oh, now today it's a -3 penalty until I long rest. Oh, now it's a -2 penalty. Now it's a -1. Now it's a 0, right? And that's how you use that. So again, death is never final, folks. Those are the spells that you get. At first level in the life domain, you get to gain proficiency with heavy armor. So if you watched our intro to Clerics and Knowledge Domain video, you know that all Clerics are proficient in light armor, medium armor, and shields. And if you're going to be a Cleric and or a Cleric of the Knowledge Domain, I said, hey, having medium armor and a shield is great. You can have a pretty decent armor class with that. You might need to take a feat to wear heavier armor, like plate, to get that AC up to 18, 19, 20 plus, right? Not if you are a life domain Cleric, because at first level, you get proficiency with heavy armor and you can wear it right away. Like I said, I've seen Clerics at 18, 19, 20 AC at level 1, which is wild. But In my mind, I want my cleric to be the healthiest with the best armor so they stay on the field the longest to continue to help the party, right? Also at first level, you get something called Disciple of Life, and that makes your healing more effective. Whenever you use a spell of first level or higher to restore hit points, like Cure Wounds, Healing Word, Mass Cure Wounds, Mass Healing Word, that creature gains an additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. For example, you're going to cast Cure Wounds at first level. You're going to heal someone 1d8 plus your spellcasting modifier. Let's pretend our spellcasting modifier is a +4, okay? I rolled a 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. I heal you for 9 points. However, if I am a life domain cleric and I've got Disciple of Life, I can add 2 plus the spell's level. Spell's level was 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus the 9 I already rolled is 12. It makes my healing stronger. So not only is it a D8, it's a D8 plus your spell modifier plus 2 plus the spell's level. Lots of plussing, lots of maths, I know, but it's worth it. That's a lot of healing. If you're going to go healer, this might be the way to go. At second level, your extra channel divinity option is something called Preserve Life. And it's mainly used to heal the badly injured. As an action, you present your holy symbol and evoke healing energy that can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your cleric level. Choose any creatures within 30 feet of you and divide those hit points among them. So, let's say you're a second level cleric. You can do 5 times your cleric level. So 5 times 2 is 10. I can use a channel divinity slot to use Preserve Life and heal you for 10 points. Or maybe I give you 6 and I give you 4, right? Or there's a couple of you, all right, I'm going to give you 3, and you 4, right? Think about this. As this levels up, this becomes even more advantageous. If you're a 10th level cleric using your Preserve Life, 5 times 10 is 50 points. I use a channel divinity to heal you for more than what I could casting a Cure Wounds spell. So if you're going healer, Life Domain is awesome. At 6th level, you get a feature called Blessed Healer. And anytime you heal someone else, you heal you as well. So if you cast a spell of first level or higher that restores hit points to a creature other than you, Healing Word, Cure Wounds, Mass Healing Word, when you're healing others, you also get to heal 2 plus that spell's level. It's not a lot, nothing crazy, but let's say you cast Cure Wounds at second level. Second level plus the 2 that you see here, because you get 2 plus the spell's level. 2 plus 2 is 4. I get 4 hit points just for healing you. I'll take it. I'll take every hit point I can get. You kidding me? Divine Strike is next. You get that at 8th level. And this is where you're going to infuse your weapon with your energy. So on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal an extra D8 of radiant damage to the target. When you reach 14th level, this becomes 2d8. So at 8th level, you get it. So 8th to 13th, it's 1d8 extra. I'm going to use my Divine Strike. I'm going to get an extra d8 of damage. That's a 7. So on top of my normal weapon damage, I'm going to use my Channel Divinity Divine Strike. I don't think it's a Channel Divinity. I'm going to use my Divine Strike. I get an extra d8 just cuz. And when I reach 14th level, it's 2d8 just cuz. Beautiful stuff, right? At 17th level, you get Supreme Healing. And that means when you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points with a spell, you instead heal the highest number possible. So, for example, Cure Wounds is a d8 plus your spellcasting modifier. Normally you would roll this. At 17th level, you're not going to have to roll this d8. You're just going to give them the full 8 points plus your modifier. It's like max healing. Okay? That's what that is. Because definitely going to come in handy at higher levels when you're dealing with high level, you know, godlike creatures. You're going to need that. Okay. So that is the life domain. Life domain. That is going to be the healer's healer. Okay. So if you're really into playing the healer, that is the way to go. Take the life domain. Now let's talk about the light domain. Okay. The creatures who use the nature, the sun, right? Lathander, the silver flame, Apollo. These are going to, oftentimes you're going to be a cleric that is on the ideals of rebirth and renewal, truth, vigilance, beauty. Often the holy symbol is going to be the sun or some kind of aspect of the sun. You are a tireless sentinel of seeking the truth and should be able to tell when somebody's being deceitful, because that is what you study. And so your spells that you get access to right away are going to be light domain. So think light things, think burning things. You get access to Burning Hands. It's a great first level spell. Put your thumbs together, you get a 15-foot cone of fire. Anyone in that 15-foot cone needs to make a dexterity saving throw, and if they fail, they take damage. And at first level, this spell happens to deal 3d6 fire damage. You can upcast it, right? But it's pretty powerful. Even though 3d6 is not a ton of damage, it also is going to ignite things on fire. So, you know, as your DM, if you use Burning Hands and you burn my enemies for fire damage, it doesn't stop there. On their turn, I'm going to either have to put that out with my action, or I'm going to take my turn and get burned again. Now, as a DM, it doesn't say here in the spell that it continues that way, but as a DM, I'm going to be like, hey, the fire's not as intense as it was, but your clothes are on fire. I'm going to give you a d6 of fire damage because you didn't put that out, right? That's how I would rule that, because you are ignited in flame. And this is a spell that you can upcast. Fairy Fire is something a little different. Each object in a 20-foot cube is going to glow in a bright light to make it more visible. So if you're fighting something in darkness and you want to cast Fairy Fire to be like, attack that thing. If everybody can't see, or dark vision is not really, doesn't really help you too much in the darkness, Fairy Fire is a good way to go to target something, because it's going to have like a little orbit of lights near them. And they're going to be affected by a 10-foot radius of dim light. Attack rolls against the creature is going to have advantage because you're lighting them up, making them easier to see. And an object in this field cannot benefit from being invisible. So that's nice. Fairy Fire, although low level, and it seems like, oh, it's not doing damage. No, but it's going to give you advantage. And if there's anything hiding invisible in that field, they're no longer going to be invisible. That's pretty handy. At third level, you get Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray is a good one because you get 3 rays. You are going to roll an attack roll for each of those 3 rays. And as they hit, they also do 2d6 fire. So if you hit with all 3, you're talking 66 fire. That is almost a fireball, okay? You're getting close. So you can go, I'm going to hit that guy, and that one. And it's multiple targets. It's not an area of effect, but you can affect multiple targets or just concentrate them all on one. That's pretty cool. Okay, at 5th level, you're going to get Daylight. And Daylight is a 60-foot sphere that you are going to light up with bright light. And it'll shed dim light and an additional 60 feet. So you're talking about 120 feet of light in the darkness. It's pretty high level, third level to get some light. But that is going to be important because if any of the spell's area overlaps with an area of magical darkness, a spell of, I think darkness is a 2nd level spell, the spell that created the darkness is dispelled. So if if you get hit by darkness spell, a mage is trying to blind you from being able to see where their movements are, you can cast Daylight to get rid of that. because your daylight is radiant holy light that is going to just remove that and light everything up. I, as a DM, would typically take this and say, hey, if I've got anything that has sunlight sensitivity in this area, I'm going to make that active. Like Drow, the Dark Elves, vampires. They have those two types of creatures right off the top of my head have sunlight sensitivity. So often when they fight in the daylight, they're going to have disadvantage because the light is hurting their eyes. They see less. If you're in a cave somewhere and there's a daylight spell, I'm basically treating anything that has sunlight sensitivity. I'm putting that into effect as a DM. That's my call, right? So it's worth it. Fireball. This is the spell everybody wants, right? Light domain clerics get access to Fireball at 3rd level, and it is what you think it is, man. If you watch Stranger Things Season 1, they're yelling at Will to fireball, fireball. That's what this is. You hurl a ball of flame. It is literally a bomb. And it explodes in a 20-foot radius. You can point to a spot 150 feet away from you and say, there. And where you point is a 20-foot radius that just ignites into flames and burns everything. They got to make a dexterity saving throw or they take 8d6 fire damage. Half if they succeed on that saving throw. But anything in there that is flammable lights on fire. So again, as a DM, if you're in my fireball and you tried to leave, if you don't pat yourself down with your action to put that out, I'm going to keep giving you a little bit of fire damage. I usually do with fireball. I usually do like 2 rounds. First turn they take after getting hit, I might say 3d6. The second turn after they take the hit, 1d6, and then it'll naturally go out. Unless they take an action to put out the flames, I'm going to hit them with it. That's my rule. I'm the DM. That's what igniting is all about, right? Guardian of Faith, we talked about this in the life domain. So point to an area. Anything within 10 feet of it is going to attack and deal 20 radiant damage for a couple of hits. Once they deal 60 damage, they're gone. Wall of Fire you get access to at 7th level. It's a 4th level spell. It creates a wall of fire. So anything standing on the burning side, because you get to decide like, hey, this area is burning. And I'm going to put a straight line. Anybody on that side is going to get burned if they're within 5 feet of it. And they'll take 5d8 damage. So this could be a wall that is up to 60 feet long, 20 feet high, 1 foot thick. You can ring it, so you can make it a 20-foot diameter, 20 foot around, 20 feet high, 1 foot thick. You can kind of see through it because it's flames. But anybody that is within its area needs to make a dexterity saving throw or they take 5d8 damage. One side of the wall selected by you deals 5d8 to each creature that ends its turn within 10 feet of that wall. So if there's somebody within 10 feet of your wall of fire, they're getting burned for 5d8. And if they stay in there, when it enters its turn for the first time, or if it ends its turn within 10 feet of your wall, they're taking that damage. So as soon as you cast it, anybody within 10 feet of the burning side, they take that damage. On their turn, if they end their turn still within 10 feet, they're taking the damage again. This is a very intense fire. When you upcast it, the damage increases by a d8 for every spell slot above 4th. So you want to do 5th level wall of fire, instead of 5d8, it'll be 6d8. So just another cool thing. And then at 9th level, you get Flame Strike, a vertical column of flames in a 10-foot radius, 40 foot high, deals 4d6 fire and 4d6 radiant. So 46 fire, 46 radiant. If they fail the save, if they make the save, they get half damage. That's another cool spell. And then Scrying, you get to pick something that you're familiar with and essentially magically spy on it. Those are your spells in the light domain. Also, you get at 1st level, you get the light cantrip. It's basically like touching an object and making it shine so you don't have to hold the torch. So if you want to make your shield shine or your sword, your mace, that's what that's all about. And it's a cantrip, so it's a 0 level spell, doesn't expend any spell slots. It's a spell you can do at will. So if you want to light everything, I don't think it requires concentration. No, it doesn't. So your party basically doesn't need a torch if you're going to light on everybody's weapon. Warding Flare. At first level, you can interpose divine light between yourself and an attacking enemy. When you are attacked by a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll, causing the light to flare and temporarily distract them. Okay? An attacker that can't be blind. So if there is a creature that is immune to being blind, this doesn't affect them. Right? It's going to affect those who don't have that feature. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. So if your modifier is a +4, you can use this 4 times. Does that make sense? Starting at 2nd level, your channel divinity option in the light domain is called Radiance of the Dawn. So as an action, you present your holy symbol, and any magical darkness within 30 feet of you is immediately dispelled. Woohoo! Additionally, each hostile creature within 30 feet of you must make a Constitution saving throw. They're going to take radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric level. You get this at level 2, so let's say you're a 2nd level cleric. It's 2d10 plus 2 damage that they're going to get on a failed saving throw, or half as much on a successful one. Creatures that have total cover from you are not affected. So if they're completely blocked by a box they're sitting behind, or a tree, or a wall, if they have total cover, they're obviously not going to see your Radiance of Dawn, and they won't be affected. But any other creature, you spend a channel divinity spot on this, that's what's going to happen. Just by holding out your holy symbol, you radiate this light. So, very cool. That would be your action on that turn. At 6th level, you get something called Improved Flare. You can also use your Warding Flare feature when a creature you can see within 30 feet of you attacks a creature other than you. So, let's go back and read this. Warding Flare is a feature that you get at 1st level. When you're attacked by a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see, you can use this reaction to oppose disadvantage. This is saying at 6th level, it doesn't have to be you. It could be a teammate within 30 feet of you. You can put the light between the enemy and your teammate and impose the disadvantage. So that's pretty cool. Potent spellcasting starts at level 8. So much like the life domain, the light domain also has this, where you get to add your wisdom modifier to your cantrips that deal damage. So instead of it being, maybe it's like a d8 of damage, maybe it's a d8 plus whatever your wisdom modifier is. So it's just a little bit of extra damage because your spell casting is stronger. Lastly, you get a feature called Corona of Life at 17th level. You use your action to activate an aura of sunlight that lasts for a minute, or until you dismiss it using another action. What it happens is you emit this bright light in a 60-foot radius and a dim light for 30 feet beyond that. Your enemies in the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. This is a great spell for you to use at this kind of a high level. Hopefully, as a member of a party, you could be like, hey, team, as a cleric, I have this power where I can create this aura of light around me. And creatures within it are going to have a hard time resisting fire and radiant damage. So, in combat, when you see me do this, it'd probably be best time to cast your fireball or this or that. That's the kind of thing that you want to do, because as you do this, any spell, it doesn't say any spell from you, it says any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. That could be your teammates. So if you affect this and you start it, they should see that and pile on, because the odds are, with disadvantage on the saving throw, you're going to be more effective with those kinds of spells. That's where teamwork comes into play. Corona of Light. All right, gang. Those were the life and light domains for your cleric. Those are, again, options that you choose at level 1. You get to pick your subclass. That's what that is. We chose to talk about the knowledge domain with intro to clerics. This video was just life and light. Our next 2 videos on the cleric class will focus on the nature domain and the Tempest domain, and then another video for the Trickery domain and the War domain. So lots of options here for clerics. It is a popular class because it is so much fun to play. Somebody who can do a lot of damage but help your teammates and heal them. They are essential in every party is what I say. And at my tables, I always recommend that, like, hey, anybody think about playing a cleric? You might want to. Here's why. So, until we see each other again, keep those dice rolling, and we'll see you at the table.